Imagine a cold, dark morning in Dublin, Ireland. The year is 2008. A young man is standing in a wet, freezing ditch. His hands are covered in cold mud and dirty water. He is working as a plumber's apprentice. He hates every second of it. His body is shaking from the cold. He looks at his dirty hands and whispers to himself, "I am not meant for this. I am meant for greatness." But nobody else believes him. His father thinks he is making a huge mistake. The neighbors think he is lazy. He has no money. His pockets are empty. How does a poor boy from the rough streets of Dublin, who survives on €188 a week from government welfare, go on to become the most famous fighter in human history? How does he make the whole world learn his name? Today, you will find out. You will learn how to believe in yourself when the entire world doubts you. And most importantly, you will learn English along the way. Hello, my friend. It is so good to have you here today. Welcome back to StoryLingo. Please subscribe to our channel to see more interesting stories and improve your English. Find a comfortable place to sit. Take a deep breath. Let us leave our busy lives behind for a moment and listen to a story about hope, pain, and the incredible power of the human mind. Have you ever had a big dream? A dream so big that you were almost afraid to say it out loud. Perhaps people laughed at you. Perhaps they told you to be realistic. Tonight, we walk through the life of a young man who refused to be realistic. This is the story of Conor McGregor. Conor Anthony McGregor was born on the 14th of July, 1988. He grew up in Crumlin, a tough, working-class neighborhood in Dublin, Ireland. In Crumlin, you had to be strong. The streets were loud and often dangerous. Young Conor was small. He was not the biggest boy on the street, but he had a lot of energy. He loved football, but soon he found a different passion: boxing. At the age of 12, he walked into the Crumlin Boxing Club. The air in the gym was thick with the smell of sweat and leather. The sound of gloves hitting heavy bags filled the room. Bam, bam, bam. Conor loved that sound. He learned how to throw a punch. He learned how to move his feet. But boxing did not pay the bills. When Conor finished school, his father, Tony, gave him some serious advice. "You need a real job, Conor," his father said. "Boxing is a hobby. You cannot eat boxing gloves." So Conor became an apprentice. Conor was a plumber's apprentice. He woke up at 5 a.m. every morning. He walked out into the freezing Irish rain. He worked for 12 hours a day, fixing broken toilets and cold pipes. One evening, Conor sat at the kitchen table. He looked at his father. "I am quitting," Conor said. His father's face turned red. "You are doing what? You have a good job. You are crazy." "I am going to be a professional fighter," Conor replied. His voice did not shake. "By the time I am 25, I will be a self-made millionaire." His father laughed. It was a sad, angry laugh. Nobody in Crumlin became a millionaire from fighting. But Conor had a secret weapon. He had already met someone who believed in his dream. In 2008, Conor walked into a nightclub in Dublin. He saw a young woman named Dee Devlin. She was beautiful, kind, and she had a warm smile. Conor walked up to her. He started to talk. He did not talk about plumbing. He talked about his dream. He told her he was going to conquer the world of martial arts. Most girls would think he was bragging. Most girls would walk away. But Dee looked into his eyes. She saw the fire. They became a couple, and soon they had to face the cold truth of poverty together. Conor had no job. He spent every hour of the day at the Straight Blast gym, training under his coach, John Kavanagh. He was learning mixed martial arts, or MMA. It was a new, violent, and dangerous sport. Because Conor had no income, Dee became the anchor of his life. She worked hard to pay for their tiny, cold apartment. She drove him to the gym every single day in her old, beat-up car. When Conor came home, exhausted and bleeding, Dee did not complain. She made his meals. She washed his dirty hand wraps. She listened to him talk about the belts he would win. "We are going to make it, Dee," Conor would whisper, his body aching. "I promise you, one day you will not have to work another day in your life." "I know, Conor," she always answered. Do you have someone in your life who believes in you when you have absolutely nothing? If you do, hold on to them. They are worth more than gold. Years passed, but the money did not come. To survive, Conor had to sign up for government welfare. In Ireland, this is called the dole. Every week, Conor had to walk into the post office. He had to stand in a long line of unemployed people. The clerk would hand him 188 euros. It was just enough money to buy cheap food and petrol for Dee's car. It was a time of deep struggle. People in Crumlin began to whisper, "Look at Conor," they said. "He is 20-something years old. He has no job. He just trains all day. He is wasting his life." The doubt from others was like a heavy fog. Everyone doubted Conor. Even his own family wondered when he would face reality. But Conor used this doubt as fuel. Every time someone laughed at him, he trained harder. He ran faster. He kicked harder. He began to win fights in local Irish promotions. He became the champion of a small organization called Cage Warriors. In fact, he did something amazing. He won the featherweight belt, and then he moved up and won the lightweight belt. He was a double champion. But he was still poor. He was still collecting 188 euros a week. The local belts did not pay real money. Then, in early 2013, the phone rang. The call was from Las Vegas, USA. The UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the biggest MMA organization in the world, wanted to sign him. They offered him a fight in Stockholm, Sweden, against a dangerous fighter named Marcus Brimage. Conor looked at his welfare check. He looked at Dee. "This is it," he said. "This is our exit." Just days before flying to Sweden, Conor stood in the post office line one last time. He collected his 188 euros. He told the clerk, "I won't be back." The date was April 6th, 2013. The arena in Stockholm was loud, but Conor felt completely calm. He walked into the UFC cage for the first time. He did not look like a nervous beginner. He walked like a king. The fight started. Marcus Brimage rushed forward, throwing heavy punches. Conor did not panic. He moved like a dancer. His left hand was like lightning. Crack! Crack! In just 67 seconds, Brimage fell to the floor. The referee stopped the fight. Conor McGregor had won his UFC debut. At the post-fight press conference, Conor sat in front of the microphones. He did not talk like other fighters. He spoke with passion, wit, and raw emotion. "To be honest," Conor said, leaning into the microphone, "I'm just thinking about the $60,000 bonus. I was collecting welfare last week. I didn't have any money. Now I have $60,000! Dana, 60 G's, baby!" The room erupted in laughter. The UFC president, Dana White, smiled. He knew right then that Conor McGregor was not just a fighter. He was a superstar. Conor began to rise through the UFC rankings like a rocket. But he did not just win fights. He did something much more unusual. He started making predictions. Before every fight, Conor would look at the cameras and say exactly how and when he would defeat his opponent. "I will knock him out in the first 2 minutes of the first round," Conor would say. And then he went out and did exactly that. People started calling him Mystic Mac because his predictions always came true.
How did he do it? Was it magic? No. Conor explained that he used the power of visualization. He would close his eyes and see the fight in his mind, over and over again. He saw the punches. He felt the canvas under his feet. He saw his hand being raised. "If you can see it here," Conor said, pointing to his head, "and you have the courage to speak it out loud, it will happen. I visualize everything."
But many people did not like this. They thought Conor was too loud. They thought he was arrogant. They wanted to see him fail. His biggest test was coming. A test that would either make him a legend or destroy everything he had built. It was July 2015. Conor was supposed to fight the longtime champion, Jose Aldo. But just 2 weeks before the fight, Aldo got injured and pulled out. Instead, the UFC brought in Chad Mendes. Mendes was a world-class wrestler. He was Conor's worst nightmare. Wrestlers could take Conor down to the ground and beat him up. Many experts said this is the end for McGregor. He cannot handle a real wrestler. The night of the fight arrived. The arena in Las Vegas was packed with thousands of Irish fans who had flown across the ocean. The noise was deafening. In the first round, Mendes did exactly what everyone expected. He grabbed Conor, threw him to the ground, and began to hit him. Conor was stuck on the canvas. A sharp elbow from Mendes cut Conor's face. Blood started to pour down his eye. In the crowd, Dee Devlin covered her face. She was crying. The dream seemed to be slipping away under the heavy elbows of Chad Mendes. The referee looked closely at Conor's cut. The crowd held its breath. Was Conor going to lose? But inside Conor's head, there was no panic. He looked at the blood on his hands and smiled. The second round began. Mendes took Conor down again. The seconds were ticking away. Conor was absorbing heavy blows, but he kept talking to Mendes. "Is that all you got?" Conor whispered through the blood. With only 1 minute left in the round, Mendes tried to change his position. That was his mistake. Conor saw the opportunity. He scrambled to his feet. The crowd roared. Conor wiped the blood from his eyes and walked forward. Mendes looked tired. Conor was fresh. Conor threw a kick, then he stepped back and threw his famous left hand. Boom! It was a perfect, precise strike. Mendes collapsed to the canvas. Conor rushed in, and the referee jumped between them. It was over. Conor McGregor fell to his knees on the canvas. He did not roar. He put his head on the floor and began to cry. The emotions of the long journey, the welfare lines, the cold mornings, and the immense pressure finally came out. He was now the interim UFC featherweight champion. But the real king was still waiting. Jose Aldo had not lost a fight in 10 years. He was considered one of the greatest fighters to ever live. For months, Conor played psychological games with Aldo. He stole Aldo's belt at a press conference. He laughed at him. He got inside Aldo's mind. On December 12th, 2015, the two men finally stood opposite each other in the octagon. The energy in the stadium was electric. The referee gave the instructions. The fighters went to their corners. The bell rang. Ding! Aldo rushed forward, full of anger. He threw a big, powerful right hand. Conor did not move back. He did not look afraid. He did not blink. He simply leaned back by a fraction of an inch.
As Aldo's punch missed his chin, Conor threw a short, sharp left hook. Crack! It was a sound like a dry branch snapping. Aldo fell face first onto the canvas. He was completely knocked out. The referee ran in. The fight was over. 13 seconds. That is all it took. 13 seconds to end a 10-year reign. 13 seconds to change the world of sports forever. Conor jumped onto the cage, screaming with joy. He was now the undisputed UFC featherweight champion of the world.
After that historic night, Conor McGregor's life changed forever. He went on to fight Eddie Alvarez and became the first fighter in UFC history to hold 2 championship belts at the same time. He fought Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match that made him over $100 million. He became the self-made millionaire he had promised his father he would be when he was a cold plumber's apprentice.
But Conor did not forget his promise to Dee. Today, they are still together, raising their beautiful children. Dee never has to work another day in her life. The boy who had only 188 euros in his pocket now travels the world in private jets and yachts. But the most important lesson of Conor's story is not about the money. It is not about the expensive cars or the gold watches. It is about the kid in the cold Dublin ditch who looked at his dirty hands and decided that his current situation was not his final destination.
We have traveled a long way today, my friend. We started on a wet, freezing street in Dublin, listening to the angry shouts of a worried father. We walked through the dark rooms of a tiny apartment where a young woman washed bloody bandages in silence. We stood in the welfare lines, feeling the cold stare of doubt. And we ended under the bright lights of Las Vegas, watching a man make history in 13 seconds. Conor McGregor once said something beautiful. We're all human beings at the end of the day. If you have a limit set on yourself, you're not going to go anywhere. We are all equal. Maybe you are listening to this story today, and you feel like you are standing in a cold ditch of your own. Maybe you are studying English and it feels too hard. Maybe people are telling you that you are too old, too slow, or that your goals are too unrealistic. But remember this story. The doubt of others is just noise. The only opinion that truly matters is the one you have of yourself when you look in the mirror. Do not let anyone tell you who you are allowed to become. Work hard in silence. Believe in your dream when nobody else does. And keep going until the final bell rings. Thank you so much for walking through this story with me today, my friend. I am glad you spent your precious time here. Did Conor's journey inspire you? Have you ever had to fight for a dream when others did not believe in you? Please write a comment below and share your thoughts. If you want to continue your English learning journey with more inspiring, powerful stories, please subscribe to StoryLingo. Check out this incredibly interesting story too. Until next time, keep learning, keep believing, and stay strong.